I was exposed to a lot of jazz and blues music through my relatives, my grandparents and my great aunt especially. And I didn't even really know that it was old music per se that we were listening to, but I loved it.
Jazz is a relatively small niche in the musical universe. It's been that way really since the advent of rock and roll. There was a time in the middle of the last century when jazz was the popular music. But tastes change, things change. It's sometimes regarded more as something that people study as opposed to something that maybe is certainly not a way to fame and fortune these days.
You know, this has been true in the classical world forever, that it's always, supposedly dying, but it's always there. It's either gonna just suck forever or there's going to be a tipping point that I think we're getting to.
I believe that most connections made through music are more meaningful than other connections. I think that music is powerful in a sense that it's in every culture, and you can't really have life without music. My name is Eli. I'm a student at Grandview and Drake University. I play the clarinet and saxophone. In Iowa, I feel that we have some very strong programs, some of the best in the nation. And then we have some very weak programs, and I would say that's due to funding. I think that Des Moines is a really good place to start because the community is smaller. The big names in Des Moines, like Nate Sparks, Max Wellman, Paul Litchi, it's easier to get to know them.
My name is Max Wellman, and I am one of the co-founders here at Noche. And we've been open for about 10 years now. And prior to that, I was, and still am, a musician and performer and producer. So something that I feel really good about Noche is how we have combined and elevated the local scene and its traditions and history with the scene at large. We host a lot of touring groups that we can be really proud of, but we've also been able to provide this stage for some of Iowa's best artists and developed audiences for those artists and shows.
My name's Dennis Green. I'm the general manager of KCCK, Iowa's jazz radio station, the only jazz radio station in Iowa, one of actually only about 24 jazz radio stations in the entire country. And we're located here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but we have listeners all over the state and all over the world. I had the opportunity to apply here at KCCK, and I thought, well, I know jazz. I could totally manage that station. Of course, I got here and discovered that what I knew about jazz was like this much. So it's been a learning curve from day one, but the more I learn about jazz, the more I love it.
Jazz is such a loaded word and a giant tent of a genre. It can mean so many different things to different people, and they can all be right. And for a long time, that was built on, we're gonna have this era, this movement, and then it's very completely replaced by the next movement in the genre, and on we go from whatever, the 1920s through to the 70s or 80s.
Jazz reinvents itself pretty much every generation because every group of musicians grow up listening to different kinds of music that they grew up with.
I'd say jazz surrounds us, especially in R&B right now. It's just the new form of jazz, and especially spoken word music. I think jazz is meant to be interpreted in the moment, and while recordings are wonderful to have, I think seeing jazz live is the best way to see jazz.
We also like to make sure that we have local voices and local musicians on the radio. And again, that's not something that Spotify can do.
There's always going to be the draw to those major places, and they are always going to be what they are. New York is New York, Chicago, New Orleans is New Orleans. But any place, if you dig deep enough, there is a local heritage and culture there. And Des Moines is not unique in that regard. There's a lot more here than people think there's going to be. And I think that that's been true for a very long time.
It's always scary because you know that you're never going to be able to make it as just a musician, unless you're really, really, really good.
Overall, we have a pretty incredible nucleus of talented working musicians in central Iowa that I feel like we've maintained that and grown it over the last 10 years.
What I tell young people who talk to me about, music and a career in music and things like that, is that our goal is it's not for you to necessarily become a professional musician, but our goal is that you'll be involved in music in some way your whole life.
I believe that it will be around to stay, and I think it looks way different than it did 50 years ago, and certainly 100 years ago when it was, the most popular music in the world. That part of it is always going to be part of the legacy of the music, but even though it's niche now, it has that very strong die-hard following.
I think we just need to invest more in our students, especially in low-income areas. And really encourage everybody, whether they're queer students, female students, poor or rich, to go out and to try new things like jazz.
They always say, you never go into an artistic field because you want to. You go into an artistic field because you have to. Because there is no way that you could be satisfied with your life if you weren't doing art in some fashion.
And then it is an absolute requirement in order for it to survive and thrive that other people start to then dream on it as well.
I think the biggest thing that we can all do is just keep making and promoting the music, because once it goes away, you can never get it back.